the root word for Jacob is the same root word for what? Heel, right? Same Hebrew word for Jacob. The root of the word also means heel. So tell me about what a heel is.
The heel is the back of your foot.
Okay.
I'll probably help keep you balanced.
Keeps you balanced? Okay. But describe the shape of it.
It's round.
It's round. So you're going to see that this is what he's like. He's like the heel. He grabbed the heel, but he's going to be someone that circumvents, goes around about doing things. You're going to see how this works. Okay. So this is deception. He's understood as deception. We'll see why in just a minute. All right. So remember what Esau said in 27:36. We already read it, but I'll just say it again. It says, and he said, is it not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. Behold, now he has taken away my blessing and has said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Okay, so he went around him twice. Okay, he went around him twice. See that?
No, because I want to know why when he took the birthright at first. Why was it so important for him to have that stew? To get your birth right away when you know what it was.
Right, because the difference is he can say what he wants, but he doesn't have that right. His father is the one that has that right to do so, not him. But he's, oh, I'm about to die. Oh, give me a, who cares? What's it worth? So, of course, you read the book of Hebrews, he despised his birthright, right? But again, the father is the one that gives the blessing. So he was circumvented twice. So that's why he's crying out to his father, like, I have been circumvented twice.
Plus he's the firstborn and he's not family, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. So now, Genesis 3:15, you're going to see that word heel again. Everyone's familiar with this. You're going to see where Ahab, right? 3:15, better sheet of Genesis 3:15. And I'll put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed, and it shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. And heel is very important. There's a whole lesson in the heel by itself, but I'll give you one more place, which is in Psalms 49, verse 5. It's Tehillim or Mizmor 49, verse 5. There, let you guys get to that really fast, and then we'll keep going with the story. So I'm going to show you the part where it's going to tap on everybody's soul if they're not careful. How many of us is Jacob? How many of us is Israel? Okay, so we're going to find out.
Just got a little healing.
We're going to see in just a minute. That's why I said it's leading up to something. Okay? It's leading up to something. You're going to see what that is. So Psalm 49:5. So wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? Okay? Encompass me about. So again, the heel is just so much to talk about the heel. But for right now, we're going to just talk about the shape of the heel and how you can use your heel, the shape of it, the figurative speech behind these things is dealing with nothing good. Okay, for right now.
Such a heel.
Mm-hmm. And these women want to put on high heels. Oh, no, stop. Okay. All right, so we'll keep going. So what Esau was saying is that Jacob went around him, or around me, was never straight with him. Okay, he defrauded me, he supplanted me 2 times, right? This is what Esau sees in his brother. Now, I want you to keep that in mind for later on. So even earlier, do you guys know a place where he tries to circumvent the father, Jacob? So I said it's going to get a little bit more to this, but I just want you to see first this part of it. But let's just take a look at what Jacob does, and you see if you can catch it. This is going to be in Genesis, Bereshit chapter 28, starting at verse 11. That's what he does. Bereshit of Genesis, chapter 28, verse 11. We'll just do 11 through 22. Okay? Now watch what happens here. Hopefully you guys pick it up. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took the stones of that place and put them for as a pillow, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the Malachim of Elohim ascended and descended on it. And behold, here we go. Behold, Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am Yahuwah. I need Yahuwah, Elohim, the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Yitzchak or Isaac, the land whereon you lie, to you will I give it and to your seed. So he's telling what he's going to give him, right? Everyone agrees to this. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and the south. And in you and in your seed shall all families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with you, and I will keep you in all places, whither you go, and will bring you again into this land. I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken to you of. Okay, so this was the promise of Yahuwah that he told to him, right? Everyone agrees. All right, so that should be a no-brainer. You got the Most High telling you this in the story, but no, not with Jacob. So we'll see. So Jacob awakes out of the sleep, and he says, surely Yahuwah is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful, how in awe is this place? This is none other but the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of the place Bethel, but the name of the city was called Luz at the first. Okay, now, so he wakes up, he puts oil on his, everything, right? Is there anything wrong with that? No, everything's good? Okay, keep that in mind. 20 to 22. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Elohim will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahuwah be my Elohim. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be Elohim's house, and of all that you shall give me, I will surely give a tenth unto you. Tell me what's going on here.
Trying to make a deal. Trying to hedge his bets.
Huh? You don't want to share? Feeling convicted yet? It's gonna get worse in just a minute.
Please, somebody.
Okay, so mind you, remember I told you it should have been over, right? There was no need to get no pillars, no stones, and pour no oil. He already told you what he's going to do.
Right.
But there's two things I want you to get out of this. Number one, and I put on here first, I'll give you a little bit of my notes. I put Yahuwah gives Yaakov a promise, right? Or he vows something to Yahuwah, or to Jacob. So what could he do with this promise? Just like us.
Receive it.
If we make a promise, we are in some ways we're supposed to do what? Accept the promise, right? So here's one. We can directly accept it with no strings attached, right? That's what it is. You said it, call it a day. That's most of us that say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. Here's plan B. Another way is to make incentives, to lock you in. If this happens, then this can happen. This becomes an indirect way to accept the promise or the vow. Let me test you and or Yahuwah. Okay? So everyone sees what's going on here. Either you can say the Father gives him a promise. This is what it is. We'll see, Father. I'm going to have to believe in you, but we'll see. Or I can try to capitalize on this and say, I'll tell you what. If this happens, this will happen. If you do this, I'll do this. See how that works? Is everyone with me so far? All right. So Jacob chose the second option. Yahuwah accepts this option because if you take that option and Yahuwah accepts your option, you have no choice, right? So we will see how this works in just a minute. So Elohim be with me, meaning I'm going to share with you, I'm repeating what he says. I'm just putting in brackets what this means. So it's Elohim be with me. If Elohim does this for me, okay, and give me bread and raiment and come to my father's house in peace, then, I put that in capitalized, then show you who will be my Elohim. How could that be? That's not good to say, then he'll be my Elohim.
And after you do these things, then I believe.
Right. Now, what's interesting about these three things that he asked for? What was the three things that he said?
Bread, raiment.
Okay, bread, raiment,
And
father's house or dwelling.
Father's house. Yeah.
Right? Where do you see that later? Very interesting in Shemot chapter 21 in the Torah. Remember Exodus 21:10? You ain't got to go to it. I'm just going to read to you 21:10, 11. And this is really talking about a servant of a man. So basically it says, if he takes him another, remember the word wife is added. There's no wife, it's a servant, right? So it says, and just like Yaakov is a servant, but anyway, it says, if he takes him another, his food or his bread, if you will, or in this case, is her raiment, and her duties of marriage shall not be diminished. Now, if you look at the word duties of marriage, one of the main definitions meaning to dwell together, just to dwell, a dwelling place. So notice that becomes a part of the agreement. I said, but my point here is just to show that Jacob is using a roundabout response to a direct promise that was made to him by Yahuwah. So he wants to capitalize on Yahuwah's promise. Okay? Now, that's none of us.
I don't believe you said what you said.
Right. Right. Or if you know that the Father is going to validate, or you know he's real, or you know he's going to do something, you try to capitalize on that. Okay. But again, remember, I said none of us here.
Oh, yeah, we do it all the time.
Oh, we do? We don't? Now, there's some positives and there's negatives, right? So I want us to think that this is all negative, meaning this here was negative in a way. Why would you need to say, then he'll be my Elohim? But my point is, there are things that are positive. You know, I've done a vow. We done a vow to go to Israel, for an example, right? We all signed the paperwork, went in Israel, buried. So if it happens, then we have to fulfill our deal, right? So there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to make sure that you understand that he fulfills his, you fulfill yours. Okay? All right. So what could have been done? Just have faith that his promise is good, but since you want to do it your way, I will still do my promise, but you must make good on your vow or promise. And of course, we'll see how this happens later. But this is what I'm saying. If you do something, the Father will hold you accountable. All right, so it was the curved heel, the roundabout thinking, the holding back or the defrauding behavior that makes up Jacob. Okay? So he literally walked out his name. Jacob literally walked his name out to the T. Okay? Is everyone with me so far? All right. Now, I'm going to give you some comparisons. Then I'm going to show you how to change. That's what I said. I want to leave it that way. We'll see how this change works. When you see this change, this is where we need to be. And that's why I'm asking you a question. Are you Jacob or are you Israel? We're going to see what I mean by that. So we're going to do just a slight comparison. Remember Genesis 29:25, or better sheet, chapter 29, verse 25, just that one verse. And then we're going to compare that with 27:35. Okay, so 29:25, we're going to compare that with 27:35. It says, and in the morning, behold, it was Leah, and Yaakov said to Laban, what is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you, Raquel? Why then have you what? Deceived me. Okay. So again, there's the word deceive. The same Hebrew word there is the same Hebrew word in 27 verse 35. Where he says, and he said, your brother came with subtlety or in deceit. Same word there is the same word, Hebrew word, root word is the same there. It says it in there. It says, and has taken away your blessing. Okay, so when we put the first comparison together, we see that Jacob was upset at Laban for his father-in-law because of the deceit, but was not upset when he did it to his brother and father. Okay, so you did it to your father-in-law, but then you were okay with doing it with your father and your brother. Is anyone with me so far? All right, 29 and 33. 29, 26, and then 33, verse 11. Okay, 29, 26, and then 33, verse 11. So Laban said, it is not so done in our place or in our home to give the younger before the firstborn. So what is Laban saying? I know what you do in your home or in your place or in your mind, but we do not take the blessing from the older here. Okay. The other part is sometimes in order to see the other side, you would have to be on the other side or experience the other side. Okay. So everyone see what's going on here. All right. Verse 33, verse 11. Take, I pray you, my blessing that is brought to you, because Elohim has dealt favorably with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. Now, here, we're going to talk about this more in just a minute, but you're going to see how Jacob changed. Listen to what he says. I pray you, do what now? My blessing that is brought to you, because Elohim has dealt favorably with me. So here you see, even though Jacob operated in deceit, two things happened out of it, a lesson and a blessing. Okay, so he finally gets the blessing that the Father's talking about, because you're going to start to see his change. So let's go see how his change works. And I'm going to call this change proactive versus reactive. Proactive versus reactive. All right. So proactive Jacob versus reactive Jacob. Yahuwah wants us to be what? Proactive. Okay. But a lot of us are reactive. Okay. Again, everyone's all right? All right. So when Jacob left Laban to go to Canaan, he could have taken a different route. Remember, he's leaving. So that he could have avoided his brother. But that's not what he does. He leaves to go to Canaan, but he takes a detour to find his brother. Why? To make it right with his brother. Notice that when Jacob was reactive, the Malachims did not pay him any mind. But when he goes to make it right with his brother, the Malachims is showing their protection, their communication with him. This shows the new you, if you will, or the way Yahuwah wants you to be. This is what we're going to see. All right, so how long was Jacob supposed to be gone from his father's house? A month, right? Remember that? Also, let's read this in Genesis 27, verse 42 through 45. I want you to see something here. 27, 42 through 45. Everyone sees my point of earlier reading that whole 27, just so we can get the whole story, but now we got to break it down and see what's going on. All right. So 27, 42 through 45, it says, in these words of Esau, his elder son were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, behold, your brother Esau, as touching you, does comfort himself, pursuing to kill you. Okay, so he ready to kill Jacob. He ready to kill his brother. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise, flee you to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him. But what did she say?
A few days.
Until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forget that which you have done to him. Then I will send and fetch you from there. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? Okay, so here he leaves. This is a reaction of what took place. Everyone see the reactive part of Jacob. All right. 28:10 says, Jacob went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran. Okay, so here we see that he is what? Leaving to avoid his brother. 32 verse 1. 32 verse 1. Bereshit Genesis 32 verse 1. And Jacob went on his way, and the Malachims of Elohim met him. Okay, so what is he doing at this point? He's returning to go to Canaan. He's going home, right? But on his way, let's jump down to verse 4. Look what he does. And he commanded them, saying, thus shall you speak unto Adonai Esau, or, his master Esau. Okay, so he's doing what? He's sending out messengers to his brother. He's now going home. He's now being proactive. He's trying to get things right as he's going home. Remember, I told you, you could have just went around Seir down to Canaan. He didn't want to do that. He says, your servant Jacob says thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there, delayed there until now. Now, here's a couple of things you want to see is he's called himself what? Servant. Now, mind you, the blessing was what?
Master.
Right. Right. He was supposed to serve him, but now his brother now is basically saying, I'm the servant. I tricked you to take your blessing. I'm ready to be proactive now. I'm ready to make things right. Everyone sees what's happening here. All right. So I say he is no longer being reactive but proactive. He wants to make things right. Number 2, notice that the change. He wants to give the blessing back to his brother and now wants to serve him, serve his brother. The very thing he took, he wants to give back. Number 3, what does he mean? I was delayed. Okay, could this mean since the time I took the blessing, I have been with Laban, I learned in his house, meaning Laban's house, the pain I caused you. I experienced the same deception that I did to you. Okay. Number 4, sometimes separation is good. In this case, the separation caused Jacob to learn about his errors, things he did wrong. Experiencing what he has done to his brother has now happened to him. Once learned and turned from these ways was now the time to restore and make things right, so that Yahuwah can bless you and peace is made within one another. Okay, so he recognizes this now. He was delayed over there. He was there for a long time in Laban's house, but he learned a valuable lesson. And now that he learned it, he's now trying to be proactive and trying to make things right. Is everyone with me so far? All right. So he's now ready to confront his brother. It's 32 verse 5, right? So he says, and I have oxen and donkeys and flocks and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell Adonai, or my master, that I may find favor in your sight. Who is he talking about? Esau, right? So notice he wants to stop being what his name means, right? He wants to reconcile. He wants to make it right with whom he wronged. Okay, we're going to keep going. 36. He says, and the messenger returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau, and also he comes to meet you, and 400 men with him.
That's not good.
Why did he do that? So remember, I told you earlier, he knew his brother. Okay, he was prepared for him this time. The last he knew of him, he was a deceiver, a supplanter. And he took him twice, he says, I am not taking any chances this go round. I got 400. I wish you would. Okay, so everyone sees that his brother's coming, but he's coming with a force. Right? Is everyone good so far?
Can't trust him.
Right, at all.
Can't trust him.
So even though he feared his brother, what does he do? Let's see, verse 9. And Jacob says, oh Elohim, my father, Abraham, the Elohim of my father Yitzchak or Isaac, Yahuwah, which said unto me, return unto your land, because that's what he told him to do, and to your kindred, and I will deal well with you. So notice now he's remembered that dream, right? Everything's starting to reverse. He's trying to go back and make things right. Notice here, he's not making any more deals, right? He says, I am not worthy. If you look that word up, it says, I feel small. Okay, it's katan there in the Hebrew there. So he says, I'm not worthy, but technically he's saying, I feel small of the least of all the mercies. Meaning, Father, you're so merciful. I feel very small. He recognizes what's going on. And of all of the truth which you have showed unto your servant, for with my staff I passed over this Jordan, meaning I came with nothing but a staff, right? And now I become 2 bands. Now you see that what? He became great. So now the Father fulfilled everything that he told him he would do. Okay, keep that in mind. Verse 11, deliver me, I pray you, from the hands of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. Okay, so here's the things I want you to take note of. All he wants is just protection now. There is no negotiation. Okay, he's negotiating nothing. No, if you do this, I will do that. Right? He just asked for a direct, humble request. That's all he wants. Fear of the unknown also provokes us to two ways. Fear of the unknown. How many of us get fear of something that we don't understand? We're not sure. So fear causes us to do two things. I'm going to give you those two. To do things our way, to run from things, to be like Jacob. Okay? Or, number two, fear can cause you to seek him. Fear is the beginning of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Those are your two options. All right? So he's recognized this now. He's doing no negotiations. It's all about now, just help me. You know, I fear my brother, but I'm not going to circumvent him no more. I'm here with you now, Father. Just use me, so to speak, right? All right, 32:12. We're almost there. We're almost there. Let me see. Yep, one more page left. So he says, 32:12 says, and you said, I will surely do you good and make your seed as the sands of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. Okay, so one of the main words in this parsha that I want you guys to take home with you to figure this out, to help you out, is the word panim. Anyone know what panim means?
Face.
He's
doing it, face.
Seek his face.
Face, panim, right? So I want you to see this. So let me share with you just how much you need to understand what this means. In Bereshit 32, we're going to read verse 32, verse 3, and verse 20. And I'm going to jump down to 27 through 30. And listen to what this says. So Bereshit Genesis 32, verse 3, verse 20, and then 27 through 30. Listen to this very carefully. It says, and Jacob sent messengers before him. Highlight before him. Because that word technically should be before his face in the Hebrew. Before his face. So technically should be, and Jacob sent messengers before his face to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the land of Edom. So he sent them to Seir. See how he's seeking his brother out. Face to face. We got to fix this, right? And then with me so far. Now watch verse 20. How many times you're going to hear this? I'm going to give you all 4 places. Verse 20. He says, and say unto, moreover, behold, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him. Look at the word him. That word there is, I will appease his face. With the present that goes, what? It says before me, but look it up in the Hebrew. It says before my face. And afterwards I will see his face. Peradventure, and he will accept of me, but it really says he will accept of my face. Okay? 4 times in this one, in this particular one verse. Right? So if that's not enough for you, we got to go to jump down to 27. It says, and he said unto him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Yashar'al, right? Keep that in mind. For he, as a prince, have you power with Elohim and with men, and have prevailed. Now, I want you to see, King James has prince and he prevailed, but my point is this. Notice the minute he started doing things face to face, things start to change. And what did he start to see here is how many of us are wrestling between man and Elohim. That's the part I want you to catch at the end here is a lot of us are wrestling against man or Elohim, or if you're wrestling against the man or the woman that's doing Elohim's work, you're still technically wrestling against Elohim. Is everyone with me so far?
I mean,
okay, now watch what happens. So he says, you no longer be called the power of prince prevail. But verse 29 says, Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray you, your name. And he said, wherefore is it that you do ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob, Yaakov, called the name of the place what? Peniel. What does that mean? The face of El. See that? So he's been wrestling with the Father and the thing that the Father has said. He's been wrestling with people. It's like, look, stop. But once he realized what he was doing, his name changed. He says, for I have seen Elohim's face to face, Panim El Panim, and my life is preserved. So my last two notes here will close is how many of us can relate to Jacob and be worthy enough to be called Israel? Before we answer so quickly, I just want you to think about the struggles you have. The struggles with yourself, struggles with others, struggles with the word, struggles with Yahuwah. Your struggling is like you're struggling face to face. In order to fix these struggles, we need to face them, stand before them, overcome them. And now let's look at the name Israel. So Yashar'al, Israel, in the King James means Prince of El, right? But there is a more or rather closer definition for that. And it really marks Jacob. So he who confronts directly or is straight with El. That's a little, so if you look at the word there, versus Strong's Concordance, if you would. What does this word mean? So we'll give this L or L, if you will. But this is the word for Yashar, to be straight. Okay? So I want you to see this. So anyway, I put on here, he makes, he who confronts directly or straight with L. His name change means that that the one that was crooked has now become straight with El, right? He became straight with the Creator, with the Most High. Okay? We have to be straight with one another. We have to be straight with Yahuwah. If we can do this, we can preserve the original meaning of Israel, or Yashar'al, and see why he placed his name on us, and watch the blessings for keeping our vows and promises, and watch what he will do with his vow or promise. Okay? So in closing, what I wanted you to catch out of all of this is that a lot of us have a Jacob moment. We will have to, if you search the Jacob moment, our struggles, our battles, everything that we have, we're operating in a Yaakov or Jacob moment, okay? But the only way that we can get around that, if you will, pun intended, which is to be what? Straight. The minute you be straight, healing comes from the time you start to become straight. But the minute you keep trying to circumvent something, go around about something, whatever this is that you're trying to do, you will always keep doing this because it's not straight. You always got to make this turn and that turn and this turn and that turn. It'll never take you where you need to go. Okay? So Jacob's name change shows us that what he went through, a lot of us can relate to in the deception, in our thinking, in our struggles, to now stating that you might be fighting not just yourself, but you might be fighting the Father. And if you're fighting him, there's a guarantee you won't win that battle. But if you're straight with him, he will be straight with you. And the same principle happens with one another. Okay, we circumvent and we treat each other a certain way. But if we straight with one another, then healing begins because you've been straight with that person. All right, so I'll open the door for any questions at this point.